Good afternoon and welcome to Dorrien Gardens with finals football the focus and a double header to tuck yourselves into on this fine spring afternoon here in WA. My name's Tommy Dolman. I'm delighted to be calling both games for you from this venue this afternoon. Later we have Perth Soccer Club versus Inglewood United in the NPL WA Major semi-final from 3 p.m, so do hang around for that. But firstly, a 12:30 local time kickoff here in WA. We have a clash between old foes Bayswater City and Perth Soccer Club in the NPL Under-20 minor semi-final. These teams finished third and fourth respectively in the league in 2018, and with Perth Glory and Coburn playing off in the major semi-final at E&D Lighters Stadium, both teams know it's do or die for this campaign, with their winner here going on to meet the loser of the aforementioned fixture. Just about set for kickoff here this afternoon, and make no mistake, this may be under-20s, but these are two proud local clubs with excellent youth systems, and bragging rights won't be lost in this knockout fixture. The scene is set, the crowd is building pretty nicely. Beautiful afternoon, as we said. The regular season's over, but the top four action is now underway, and it'll be Perth who do get us started, kicking from the right to the left of your stream this afternoon. As Garris looks to put a bit of pressure on Keyser early on. Attempted flick on by Riley Van Deeken, and the last touch was off the fullback there. And number 10, Orton Round-Mounty. Crane with the last touch there. Early touches for both teams on the flanks this afternoon as Betts tries to poke a little pass through there for Daniel Harrison. And now the release forward is a good looking one for the top scorer Lee Morgan, but can't quite get on the end of that one. Van Deeken. Now Betts, NPL WA Under-20s top scorer in 2018. It's a good charge down by Nicholas Messina there. 18 appearances, 2 goals for Nick Messina in 2019. A regular throughout the campaign, but has missed 2 of the last 3 games against Coburn and Armidale. Nick Messina was also featured on the bench as an unused sub for the senior team as Perth try and clear the ball away, but there is a handball off Rindell in the build-up. Another player, Logan Rindell, who has excelled at senior level this season. Here's Jake Mellier. Just a whipper. Ball into the middle. It's a dangerous one. Opted to punch in the end, did Adrian Sinagra. I'm not sure if that was on target or going in. A good play here from Fernell to win possession back, and he's made good ground down that left-hand side. And wins the corner off William Nicholson there. A good start so far by Bayswater. Harrison's corner, good claim there from Adrian Sinagra. Strong goalkeeping there by the stopper. Just the 9 appearances for Sinagra this season, although he has made first team appearances. We'll come back to that in a second. Ball through from Petrie, and Keyser does really well there to interrupt the play there, and now Bayswater can play with a bit of pace on the break again. They have been lively so far, both teams, as you'd expect. 2 young, vibrant sides here, and Old Rifles nevertheless and showing plenty of pace in the early stages. Raumauti's throw is put into touch by Dean Kazura. Chance for Perth here on the front foot. The throw in here is looking for the feet of Morgan. It'll come back out here to Raumauti. And in the end, that's good defending there by Fernell to get his body in between the ball and the man. So both of these teams have been in the mix for the top four for most of the season. Differing form lines, though, en route. As Bayswater win the throw there. In fact, Bayswater have been putting plenty of goals on the board in recent weeks. 13 in their past 6 matches and just the 1 loss in those last 6 games to runaway leaders Glory, who are playing Coburn, of course. Betts tries to find a teammate there, but Bayswater will get possession back. Raquelme now will try and keep that one in, but he can't do so. Of course, despite that good run of form in recent times from Bayswater, they haven't beaten Perth in the league this season. A win for Perth and a draw. Frank Drago reserve in their 2 games. One thing does stack up in Perth's favour, though, is Bayswater just 1 win on the road since round 16. Morgan putting the pressure on there. Kazura plays the ball out. Van Deeken does well to spin it around the corner, and now in midfield is Harrison. 6 goals this season for Harrison. Rindell looks to poke through for Betts, and Sinagra will come off his line and once again show good awareness. Searching ball for Morgan will drift out of play for Perth, who, for their reckoning, have been in the top 4 for most of the season, but a little differently to Bayswater. They've only won 2 of their last 6 since beating Bayswater at home in mid-July. Top 4 was slipping away as well after around 21 defeat to Coburn, where they were out of the 4, and it was out of their hands, but a 3-0 win over Sorrento, coupled with a defeat for ECU at Armidale, saw them sneaking a 4th on the last game of the season. Awkward bounce here. Van Deeken couldn't cash in. Keyser, though, was across and did really well to cover, and now here's Garris. Looks to link up with his skipper there in Lennon Crane, but the ball just runs away from him. Norman Fernell and Kazura exchanging passes across the back 4, and now the release was looking for the wing back in Keyser. Strong challenge from Van Deeken, and he nearly won out in the end. Garris' pocket was picked by the skipper Rindell, who then tried to release Keyser. A chance now for Petrie to get the ball forward, so a lot of play in both midfields for these teams so far. It's yet to quite stick in that final third just yet, though. Inside this first 10 minutes of play here at Dorrien Gardens. Tremendous day for football here in WA, just north of Perth CBD. A little bit of a breeze up here where we're sitting in the commentary spot, but quite nice and still down at ground level. Perfect conditions for finals football. Poor pass there from Raumauti on that occasion, gives ball back to Bayswater. Raumauti again. Nice play there from Razai in midfield, but again the release is just a little wayward for Morgan up top. Javad Razai looks to be playing just off Leigh Morgan this afternoon. He's certainly made an impression in recent weeks. Even made a couple of cameo appearances for the senior side. And he actually scored a brace last week in that 3-0 win against Sorrento on the final day for the under-20s. Garris's ball's a good one here, looking for Razai, who we just spoke about before, and now Perth look to press Norman. Composed play from him though, and here's Melia. Rindell with a switch of the play, looking for Van Deeken, but he couldn't find his teammate with the header back across goal. Raumauti's ball gives Morgan something to chase. Should be hoisted away by Jankovic. Nemanja Jankovic, 14 appearances, 2019. Played every game up until mid-May before a spell out for a couple of months, and now well and truly back in Bayswater's team leading up to this top 4 cup final series. 4 games throughout the month of August, on his way back. Riquelme there coming inside, strong play from Rindell again. Now he's got Riquelme and he's got Betts ahead of him. Lovely ball here instead for Van Deeken, who just couldn't wrap his foot around the ball and pull it back for Harrison, Riquelme or Betts, who are waiting in the middle. Both of these teams fairly successful in recent years at under 20 level. Of course, also fairly successful at senior level too. The only 2 teams at senior level, of course, to have their name on the NPL WA trophy since the NPL era. Began in 2014. Strong play here by Raumauti, and it's a driving run. Now ahead he goes for Razai. Flags up on that far side. It was a close call. Morgan was there in the 6-yard box, waiting for the square up. Under-20s league champions in 2010, 12 and 14 for Perth. Twice in this decade for Bayswater in 2011 and 2016. One in 1996 for Bayswater, when they were known as Bayswater Panthers back then. That was a long time ago, over 2 decades now. Title's a title, nevertheless, as Morgan will try and shield that one out, and he'll win a corner. The last touch was off a Bayswater player there. First set piece of the afternoon for Perth. It's taken short to Jason Petrie, who will now return it to Gorman. Gorman did come back to him in the end. And as Petrie and Razai were lining up the strike, a foul was pulled back for a foul on Raquelme. Raquelme, lovely ball for Melia there. Cross a little too close to Sinagra, who gathers that no problems. "15 minutes here at Dorrien Gardens, under 20s minor semi-final action. Perth Soccer Club 0, Bayswater City 0. Great to have you with us this afternoon on the Football West YouTube channel or Facebook page, wherever you may be watching. Rather tight opening so far. Plenty of pace from both teams, but hasn't really stuck up front yet for both teams. Neither goalkeeper required to make a save just yet. Rindell with a searching ball for Betts, dangerous one, and Sinagra once again off his line quickly to claim that one, and the release here is a beauty for Morgan. Needs to wait for support to come. It does now in the form of Razai. Garris was ahead of him there, but a touch too many there for Jarrod Razai possibly, and now Bayswater can counter. Touch from Nicholson was a little heavy, but it worked out okay in the end. Gorman tries to skin Fernell. A battle of the ponytails there. Decision goes the way of Perth there in the end. Foul by Petrie there on number 8. In midfield there, Daniel Harrison. Challenge from Van Deeken on Garris is a fair one. Lovely football from Perth down this left-hand side involving Razai, Garris and Rao Mousey there. What you're taught to do growing up in juniors and playing in those triangular patterns. Long time ago since I played, of course. Now, keeping it in play on that right-hand side was Crane there, and Morgan was looking dangerous again at that near post. He's definitely got an eye for goal as Lee Morgan, Perth's top scorer in season 2019. In fact, they're joint top scorer with 10 goals. Alongside Luke Garris, a formidable front three. With Jaden Gorman, of course, a fairly recent addition from Perth Glory. He played in the NPL with the youngsters earlier in the season. Raumauti. Touch from Garris. A little heavy. Perth will stay on the front foot though. Gorman tries to bring it down, but he miscues attempted volley, and Raquelme should be able to carry out a defence now for Bayswater. Clever play there from Harrison to wriggle away from Petrie. In fact, that was really good play in the pass back with Raquelme putting the pressure on. Was good enough to find Sinagra. Rezai. And ball off Morgan there. Fernell with a cracking switch of the play there, but Raquelme judged to be offside there. Another close call. Assistant referees in a far better position than me to judge though, but Raquelme certainly disagreed with the decision. Sinagra away. Under the pressure of Betts, was only as far as Norman. Harrison retreats. Back to Fernell. Norman will try and keep it in play, but the last touch was off him in the end. Relieving throw here for the home side. In the form of Nicholson, of course. This is the home of Perth Soccer Club, but it is technically a Bayswater home game, given they did finish third in the regular season, although with the senior side to come later. Doubleheader was decided. Now Van Deeken will look towards the back post. Cleared away from Perth's back four. Keyser can get there first. Awkward bounce for Kazura there, who turns over the possession. A little bit of back and forth at the moment, but eventually it drifts out of play for a Perth throw. Remembering, of course, today that this is an elimination final. We'll come back to that in a second as Gorman does well to win possession back there. Ball was looking for an oncoming Crane. Cleared away for the moment. Eventually Fernell will try and find a Deacon with a half clearance, half pass. Rezai. Foul there from Kazuro, and this is a good position for Perth from the set piece. Tough angle for a shot, but a chance to get the centre backs forward. Messina, Morgan, Garris, Crane all in the penalty area. It's low in, and it'll drift all the way through for Rezai. The hosts take the lead. There's a teasing ball Into the area by Jawad Razai. He had Morgan and Garris both running towards the 6-yard line, trying to get a touch on it. And in the end, I reckon that's gone straight through. We'll have to get confirmation of that one for you later, but I didn't see the ball deviate. Off a touch from a Perth player, and I think that'll be Razai's goal. 24 minutes in. Perth Soccer Club 1, Bayswater 0. Fairly even starts this game. No real shot on target before that goal went in, and could be argued that that may have been a cross that ended up finding the back of the net as well. As Furnell's ball's an early one in for Norman, just wide of the post. So Perth caught napping there at the back for a minute as Furnell went early with the pass. Norman was wide open in the area, couldn't quite get the connection on the header on that occasion though. Well, we often say in these finals that these sorts of games need a goal, and we've got one inside the first half hour. After a tentative opening, Javad Razai, 4 goals in total in season 2019 in the league. 3 in 2 games now after his double against Sorrento last week. It's been a good month for the youngster. Ex-Bayswater and Glory 18s. And cameo appearances in the senior side, and a lovely turn once again. Couldn't quite release Morgan. And now Bayswater will get a chance to counter as Van Degen looks to release Raquelme. Spins, gets to the ball first. And in the end, Raquelme was a little heavy on Nicholson. Good battle between those two on that left-hand side. Crowd building nicely here at Dorrien Gardens. A reminder that it's Perth Soccer Club versus Inglewood from 3 p.m. live on the Football West YouTube channel and Facebook page, just as this game is. And it's Perth who lead by a goal to nil. Fourth leading third by a goal to nil. One thing we do know is that Bayswater have got plenty of firepower up their sleeves. They've got the division's top scorer, in Betts. Only one to play every game. Sinagra was a long way off his line there. Did get the header to it. Slightly off his line now, though, as Betts looks to find Raquelme in the area. I think the last touch was off Nicholson. It was. And out for a corner. That one will go. So corner number 2 for Bayswater. The city side of the ground. Corner comes in from Harrison. Norman got his head to it. Looped up in the air nicely for Sinagra to claim, though. And the release from Gorman a little heavy for both Razai and Morgan. Just to finish on Betts, 17 goals in 2019, joint golden boot with Kieran Bramwell of the Glory. 1 hat-trick, 3 doubles. So he is capable, and he did score in April against Perth Soccer Club. fact, last week was Betts' first goalless week in 5 matches as Raumauti looks to dig out a cross. Morgan couldn't quite bring that one under control, though. Just to finish on Betts next, Balcata Jr., also prolific through his youth career as well. He scored a minimum of 14 goals in every season since 2015. Did miss 2018 though. He starts this move here with Riquelme claiming the ball, the left-hand side of the area. It takes me back to the late 90s and early 2000s hearing the name Riquelme as Melia dances down that left-hand side, crosses whipped in a little heavy for Betts and for Van Deeken in the end. Half an hour played at Dorrien Gardens. Perth Soccer Club 1, Bayswater 0. Jawad Razai's free kick that drifted all the way in. Separates the teams. Scored on 24 minutes, that goal. And there he was, the goal scorer. Pass was a little hot for Morgan to control, though. Razai took the contact from Harrison there, who wasn't too impressed with the decision, but clever work from Razai there to win the free kick. Free kick which will be launched in by Petrie. It's a deep one, and in the end it ends up being a pretty good switch of the play for Nicholson, although Melia was alert to the danger. Bayswater once again trying to counter with pace. They've done that quite a bit as Riquelme and Betts link up. Touch was on for Harrison and nearly came to Van Deeken, who did make it work. Perth should be able to bring it under control. Fernell with a wonderful play there. Can he keep it in? He does. Ball whipped in for Betts, headed away, only as far as Van Deeken. And the volley from Rindell was off the instep there and way wide of the target in the end. Rindell, another one who's had that first team experience at Bayswater this season. 2 senior games and starts as well, both against Sorrento in the NPL WA. 2 goals at under 20 level in 16 games. Last scored at the start of August against ECU. A former Floreat youth team player who's excelled since joining Bayswater in 2017. Now here's Morgan. Looks for his teammate there in Gorman, who wriggles around, gets the shot off. And it whistled wide of the upright in the end. I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Jankovic, who seemed to watch that drift wide, seemed pretty confident in doing so. But another glimpse of what Perth Soccer Club's dangerous front three can do. In fact, both of these front threes have been excellent in the opening 45 minutes so far, without quite having that punch that we've seen during the league season. That punch, of course, has led these teams, the third and the fourth best attacks in the NPL WA under 20s. As that ball crosses the line on the far side, linesman's got his flag up. And Perth will get the ball back, so 53 goals in 22 games for the home side in Perth and 49 for Bayswater. So over 2 goals a game on average. And the defensive records also mirror those of third and fourth teams. Although flipped the other way with Bayswater having the third best record and Perth the fourth best record in this instance. And the top three, including Bayswater, are the only ones who have better defensive records. And Perth, a clean sheet will win them this game as Furnell's ball will look for Riquelme. Can't quite keep that in play. He's actually switched flanks now with Van Deeken. Bayswater looking to mix up that attacking trio. Bet still carrying on in that centre forward role though. Lovely touch there from Garras, and it was Morgan who nearly had a sniff of that. Good pressing from Perth. Norman has to retreat all the way back to Jankovic in the end. And that time Petrie does really well to pickpocket Harrison there. They've had a little bit of joy in that centre circle of the ground, Bayswater. On that occasion, Petrie was in the right spot to deny Harrison. Furnell steps in. And now forward it goes to Betts. So if he can bring this down, he's one-on-one with the man. Betts tries to wriggle the opening for a shot. It's cleared away by Nicholson. Crane couldn't bring it under control initially. Did it the second attempt. And Morgan was offside there as Gorman tried to tickle it through to him. Van Deeken. Played back to Harrison on the edge of the area, just wide. Well, he was in plenty of space there, Daniel Harrison. Just outside the box, Van Deeken found him. And Sinagra was flat-footed. And in the end, it was just wide of that bottom left corner. 6 games in August for Daniel Harrison, another one who's been really building towards this top 4 cup. 6 goals in total in 20 games this season. Last goal was 3 weeks ago against Rockingham in a 4-0 home win. In fact, it was 4-2. Apologies. Riquelme's cross takes the deflection and Sinagra was able to gather. Kazura should be able to get this back to Jankovic, who plays it nicely to find Kazura again. Pass was cut out by Petrie. Furnell can retrieve that. Really adaptable back three. Bayswater seem to be playing here, tactically quite interesting. We have seen Furnell drift back in to the centre of defence on occasions this afternoon. But at the moment he's sat just in front of the back three with Melia and Keyser operating in those wing-back positions. Keyser with 2 goals in season 2019, the right wing-back. Both scored in the first 4 weeks of the season, so a little bit of a drought since April for him. He's actually back in the team in the last month after missing a month earlier in the campaign. Hutchinson was dawdling on the ball there, and that allowed Harrison to release for Betts, who can drive into the area. Shot is well blocked. It's still not cleared by Perth just yet. It will come to Harrison again, blocked once more by Perth's back four. Deacon goes down in the area and eventually it's hacked away by Messina, and now Perth released at the other end. It's Garris one-on-one with Keyser. Support now arriving from Morgan and Gorman, but Keyser did well to recover there and get a boot in. End-to-end action there. I think it was Messina on 2 occasions there who got the block in. Oscar Heaney was also back deep in his 6-yard box trying to nullify Bayswater's attack. I think it was he who got the initial sliding challenge in on Betts. Sinagra yet to really make a notable save though. He's been alert though and off his line quickly to gather on a couple of occasions. And in the final 5 minutes leading up to half time, just getting the feeling the visitors are trying to build out of steam. As into the area here is Rindell. Little clip is looking for Harrison, who nearly looped a header over Sinagra there, but I think the goalkeeper had that covered. Once again, Bayswater not frightened to get plenty of numbers into the penalty area. So far, Messina and Heaney have done pretty well back there. Heavy challenge from Round Marcy there on Raquelme. Betts has his mate Van Deeken out wide. Now Furnell driving again, and he was impeded there en route to the penalty area, and Bayswater have a free kick here, and this is a good position to get a shot off. Harrison straight on that one. Bayswater's set piece specialist. Couple of corners so far, and now it's Harrison with the free kick. It's off the bar. Norman can't poke it in, and the last touch was off the defender. So close there from Harrison. I'm not sure if Sinagra got a touch on that onto the bar. If he did, it was an excellent save. And as the ball dropped off the crossbar, Norman and Heaney were both there. And Heaney did just enough to put sufficient pressure on Bayswater's centre back, who was up for that set piece. Gorman forward for Garris. Lovely ball. Looking for Gorman once again, but Keyser was alert. He's been good in this first half so far as Kapinga, Keyser, and now the release for Van Deeken is a little overhit. As the fourth official puts an extra minute on the board. We've just ticked into first half stoppage time here at Dorrien Gardens. Fairly even opening 45 minutes. Both teams with reason for optimism going into the second half. Can Bayswater carve out one last chance in the opening 45 minutes? It's Harrison. Ball broke to Betts, who was thwarted by Raumauti. And the last touch in the end was off Kazura, and that's the end of the first half. So 45 minutes played here at Dorrien Gardens. Perth Soccer Club 1, Bayswater City 0. Under 20s minor semi-final elimination game, of course, with the winner to play the loser of Perth Glory and Coburn. And it's Javad Rezai's goal after 24 minutes that separates the teams. Free kick that drifted all the way through the area and snuck in at the back post. No touch from Morgan or Garris, I believe. So I think the goal, well, we'll credit it to Rezai at the moment. Bayswater haven't been without their chances either, though. Two lively front threes. Harrison with the best of them for Bayswater. A free kick that rattled off the bar before pushing a shot just wide of the post from 18 yards. Both teams looking dangerous here. Plenty to play for. Game's wide open, but it's Perth leading by a goal to 0 at the break. We'll be back in 10 minutes for the second half. Welcome back to Dorrien Gardens for the second half of this NPL WA Under-20's minors semi-final between Perth Soccer Club and Bayswater City. No changes from either side at the break. Javad Rizay's goal on 24 minutes, the one that separates the teams, a free kick that drifted all the way through the penalty area and crept in at the far post. As Bayswater get us underway this time in the second half, and they're forward early with Harrison and Van Deeken trying to bring it under control. Mitch Norman will carry forward. Petrie got a foot in there, and that was enough to send it all the way back for Sinagra to hoist high. Gorman, poor pass for Betts. Couldn't find Raquelme with a pass of his own though. Frantic start to the second half so far. Rizai can't bring that under control. Rindell cuts it out, and now the release from Furnau for Van Deeken, but he's just straight offside there before receiving the pass. So a 1-0 lead for Perth. And that was the score here in round 16 at Dorrien Gardens. Goal on that occasion was scored by Adam Buckingham, who's on the bench today. And in fact, Perth's record at Dorrien Gardens here against Bayswater at under-20 levels a pretty good one. We'll come back to that shortly. Gorman does want to tidy up. Errant pass from Heaney. Van Deeken can't capitalise, and now Melia is in well on Nicholson there. Cross in. Took an awkward bobble. I think Petrie just did enough there to get a touch and divert that away to safety. And now Keyser. Raquelme again. Bayswater starting second half with plenty of intent, as you'd expect, given that they are trailing by a goal to nil. Just what we were saying before about Perth's record here at Dorrien Gardens against Bayswater. It's actually been 4 seasons now since Bayswater have won here at Dorrien Gardens in the league, in the NPL at under-20 level. Round 4, 2015. So last time Bayswater did get the points here, a 3-2 win on that occasion. In fact, in the last 6 meetings, 5 wins for Perth and a draw as well. That draw was in round 7 earlier this season at Frank Drago Reserve. But in the years prior, it really has been Perth that's had the monopoly on that fixture at under-20s level. A 5-1 win, of course, in the preliminary final last year in the meeting between the sides. Adam Zimmerino, actually, brother of Paul, who's playing later for the senior team, and Adams, of course, at Balcatta these days, playing at NPL level there. They're playing at Floreat this afternoon in the NPL WA minor semi-final for the seniors. Zimmerino scored a brace in this fixture last year as Perth beat Bayswater 5-1, so certainly got the monopoly on this fixture, and it is a fixture that we have seen plenty of goals in over the years, so perhaps a little bit of a surprise given the dangerous nature of the front threes we've seen this afternoon, that we have only seen a goal so far. In fact, this game averages 3.6 goals a game in the 13 NPL WA meetings between the sides since 2014. Although Bayswater have only scored one at Dorrien Gardens in the past 3 seasons. They did win 9-0 back in 2016 though, so mixed history, and certainly in recent history Bayswater have got it all to do as Melia's ball forward. I think it already crossed the sideline before he poked it forward, and there will be an early change for Perth actually in this second half. It's Rezai, the goal scorer, who does come off. He looks a little sore, clutching the back of his leg there is young Jared Rezai, the goal scorer. And on in his place is Adam Buckingham, who scored the winner between the sides here at Dorrien Gardens last time. It looks like Gorman has now gone up front alongside Morgan and Garras. And it looks like Buckingham's just going to sit in that number 10 position that Rezai was in previously. Now, Bayswater look to counter. It's Raquelme down this right-hand side. He comes inside. And Petrie was across well to snuff out the attack. Clearance from Rautaumi. It was off Keyser. Offside there, was against Lee Morgan. Not really had much of a sniff this afternoon as Perth's equal top scorer. Although he was threatening to get on the end of that Rezai ball into the area. He's since departed. It's his goal that separates the sides. Early in this second half, Bayswater started this second period pretty well though, as Harrison looks forward for Betts. Now he's got Rindell and now Van Deeken out wide. Van Deeken with a chance to run at Nicholson. He had the ball just stuck under his feet there for a minute, and in the end Nicholson was able to stand up. Shouts for a handball, not given. That front foot, Bayswater can stay. It's Melia's ball. Raquelme will try and get a header back. It's shot towards goal by Harrison, lands at the feet of Betts, and teed back to Harrison again, but his touch was a little heavy, and that allowed Buckingham to get in there and clear. And now Gorman is off to the races. Yankovic off his line quickly and puts that into touch. Good goalkeeping to anticipate that. Pace of Jaden Gorman there, really stretching Bayswater's defence on that occasion. It looked a little short. Thankfully, Yankovic was doing as all good goalkeepers should, being aware and ready to sweep. This time he gets a slightly easier claim from Buckingham's ball again. Started to spot a few of the senior players from Perth and Inglewood during the halftime break, who had arrived at Dorrien Gardens for the senior game. That's at 3 p.m, of course. Do stay around with us for that one. Live on the Football West YouTube channel and Facebook page. Still 35 minutes of this game to play, though. Of course, it is an elimination final, remember, so extra time and penalties will occur if the teams are even. Now Van Deeken into the area. Raquelme's at the back post. It went over the head of he and Messina. Retrieved by Betts, who wriggles away, and Betts did that cross the line. No, it didn't. According to the linesman, he had the best view. Betts' shot hit the underside of the bar and post, and remarkably drifted across the goal line. Well, that was a remarkable attempt at goal from Charlie Betts, who may feel a little hard done by there. The linesman was in the best position on that far side, though. Bar and post, and then across the goal line tantalisingly. Sinagra was almost caught in no man's land there. A touch off him, and that may have gone into the net as well, and in the end it was cleared away by Perth. But a scare nevertheless, as Betts wriggled his way around Perth's defence in the penalty area. Home side will get a little bit of relief now in the form of a free kick. Too far out for a shot, but the centre-backs are forward, and in the end it's a disappointing delivery from Petrie. Easily claimed by Jankovic, who looks to get Van Deeken off to the races. Last touch was off the Perth defender, but the quick throw doesn't amount to anything. Change coming up for Bayswater shortly. In fact, it'll be made now that the ball is dead, and it will be Gabriel Raquelme who makes way. A few minutes short of the hour. And on in his place comes Alex Pietranero. Like for like. Change for Bayswater there. Pietranero will slot in on that right-hand side. 19 appearances, 2 goals for him this season, a regular, apart from missing a couple of games in July. Ex-Coburn City and Fremantle City youth player. And he's forward for this Bayswater free kick, which is taken short for Furnell. I think Harrison was caught in two minds as to whether to release Melia, and now Perth can break. They've got a 2-on-2 upfield. It's Gorman, one-on-one with Keyser, who skips into the area, and Keyser did brilliantly again. A couple of good slide challenges in that first half, and he recovered well again. Norman heads away this time. And now Windell tries to improvise a flick to Betts, and that'll get possession back for Perth. just sense the game has opened up a little in this second half. Buckingham's ball was a dangerous one, but there was no one in waiting. Now Morgan tries to create space for a shot, and now Bayswater can break. And doing well there was Heaney. Better ball there for Bayswater, and Van Deeken would have been well and truly away. $11 goals this season for Hamish Van Deeken, second top scorer behind Charlie Betts. But he's had the hot hand at the moment for Baysy. 6 goals in his last 5 games, and 10 in his last 8 actually. So most of those 11 goals coming in the back end of the season. He did miss the first Perth game though, and he wins a corner off Nicholson here. So Bayswater rather wasteful. Last time they had a set piece, can Harrison put a dangerous ball in here? It's deep to the back post. Norman couldn't put it back across goal though, and away it drifts for a goal kick. Of course, Perth currently leading by a goal to nil. In this top 4 cup, minor semi-final and elimination game, of course, for the loser. Despite coming up a little short in the league in recent seasons, Perth's record in the top 4 cup at this level has been quite good. They did beat ECU Joondalup on penalties last year in 2018. Now Morgan is onside here, and he skips inside Kazura and pokes just wide of the post. Quick release there for Morgan, who looked like he'd lost his man but couldn't test Yankovic. Good opportunity for Perth. Goes begging there. And just to finish on my previous point, Perth are aiming for a 3rd top 4 cup in a row. Nine under 20 reserves cups as well. To Bayswater's 3. Two teams decorated in the past decade at senior level. Equally adept at this level as well. Plenty of good young talent on show from both teams. But it's Rosé's goal that separates the teams. Just over an hour played here at Dorrien Gardens. One change made by both teams. Bayswater will be hoping it's not a repeat of the 1-0 scoreline from round 17. As Gorman capitalises on a poor pass from Yankovic. Decision doesn't go his way though, and now Bayswater once again have numbers forward. Rindell's got space in that centre circle. I referred to in the first half. Pass was a little short for Keyser though. And now away comes the full-back there around Mouty, but his release for Garras was a little heavy, and in any case it was offside anyhow. winner of Perth Glory and Coburn City. Under 20s awaits the winner of this game. Rindell wins the free kick there from a sliding Gorman. Melia forward, charged down by Gorman. NPL senior coach Chris Coyne down there on the bench with the under 20s this afternoon. Ramon Falzone as well has just come into our picture. He'll be focused on the senior team game at 3 p.m. against Inglewood United. Messina's clearance wide for Garris. Crane. Pass forward. A little heavy for Rao Mounty, who can't quite keep it alive. Coming up to the midway point of this second half. Perfect conditions for football, and top 4 football, of course. Gorman there, nicking from Kazura, and into the area he goes. Low ball in for Morgan, and Lee Morgan, top scorer for Perth this season, doubles their lead. And it's a tall order for Bayswater now. Perth Soccer Club 2, Bayswater City 0. Sharp work from Gorman. Down that left-hand side, he's really come into the game a lot more in this second period. And he rolled it across the 6-yard box for Lee Morgan, who couldn't miss really. Scoring goals for fun this season. And now the club's outright top scorer with 11 goals. Previously level with Garris. Five in 5 games for Morgan, who's had it again here, pressuring Norman. He did miss the game last week against Sorrento, though, did Lee Norman. So 5 in the last 5 games that he's featured in. And you did actually have a taste of the under 20s level in 2018 after scoring 20 goals in 23 matches at under 18 level last year for Perth Soccer Club. So he's definitely adapted well to stepping up. And a 2-goal lead for Perth is looking like a pretty handy one, with just over 20 minutes to play. Loser of Perth Glory and Coburn City. That game being played at E&D Leiter Stadium as we speak. That game, of course, a prelude to the Floreat Balcatta Minor semi-final. As it stands, Bayswater's season is over, but There's still time for them to get back into this one, though. As Pietroniro's cross, I thought that may have taken a deflection off the full back, but it's gone out for a goal kick. We've spoken about Betts with 17 goals in 2019 and Van Deeken with 11 goals this year as well. And what Bayswater would give to get one back now, it would really set up an interesting final 15 minutes or so. Of course, Perth will continue to press forward and may fancy their chances at a third as Gorman's ball is deep for Crane. We can reel that in at the back post. He'll retreat back to Raumauti. Now the Sky Blues will try and keep a little bit of control. Crosses a deep one for Buckingham, who had to leap and stretch his neck to get ahead on that. Couldn't quite get the power to test Jankovic, whose quick release will eventually land at the feet of Van Deeken. Distribution from Nemanja Jankovic has been pretty good this afternoon. It's helped to release his front three as Harrison comes down the left. He's got Furnell in the middle. Clearance could have gone anywhere. And first to the ball there is Crane, who's back defending in the 18-yard box. Gorman is now up front on his own. And Rindell nicks it off him and carries on as Bayswater's skipper. He nearly weaved a passage through to find Betts. Buckingham's release. Looks for Morgan. Goal scorer should be able to keep this in play. He's got no one in the middle yet. Now Crane arrives and he was lurking behind Melia, who had to poke behind for a corner. Tremendous work rate from Lennon Crane there. He was back in the Perth defensive penalty area, tidying up only a moment ago, and he was nearly on the end of that chance. Supplied from the left by Morgan as Crane's cross comes in. I'm not sure what happened there. I think Crane must have just touched the corner short and even caught me off guard in the end there. Bayswater will turn to the bench for a second time. Off comes Daniel Harrison, who's lacked a little bit of luck this afternoon. He rattled the crossbar, with a free kick in that first half and just missed the bottom corner with another shot from range. And on in his place is Daniel McKenzie, number 9, very tall player. It looks as though Bayswater will be playing a 4-2-4 now for the last 15 minutes or so, but Gorman is off to the races again and his shot's a beauty. Well, Jaden Gorman's been the star man in this second half. He put the second goal on the platter for Lee Morgan. He scored a third for Perth. And it looks as though they'll be continuing their season into next week. Perth Soccer Club 3, Bayswater City 0. And barring a remarkable Bayswater comeback, it looks as though the loser of Glory and Coburn will be awaiting Perth this midweek Preliminary finals, of course, played in midweek here in the NPL. The grand final weekend next weekend. Second change for Perth here, and it's Gorman who does make way with 15 minutes to play, and on comes Will Gordon. So Gorman off, Gordon on. He's been the leading man in this second half as Jaden Gorman. 1 assist, 1 goal. And Perth have a foot in the preliminary final this midweek. Bayswater have actually looked pretty dangerous, and if Betts' shot had crossed the line, well, perhaps you may have never known, but Sky Blues have been extremely clinical this afternoon. Final change for Bayswater. Peel Keth will come on in place of Hamish Van Deeken, who had the hot hand previous to this week. Just not quite happened for him this afternoon though, but long throw from Melia finds Betts. And his ball across was looking for Pietranero. Mounty was there to clear the danger. Get a feeling that if Bayswater are to launch what would be a remarkable comeback, they'd need to strike in the next 2 or 3 minutes to give themselves a glimmer of hope. And Perth, as you'd expect, with a 3-0 scoreline, well and truly in the box seat. Just over 10 minutes to play as Morgan looks to brush off Melia, can't do so. Heaney does well to step in front of Mackenzie there. Buckingham's pass for the wide man there in Gordon, the replacement, a little disappointing. Third and final change for Perth being readied. Down in front of us, Tommy Coyle just getting a few final words before his introduction. As Buckingham tries to clip through for Morgan. Petrie. Smart release there for Garris, but he's offside. Rindell can't get the better of Petrie, and Furnell fouls Perth's midfielder as he goes to try and win possession back. First touch there for Will Gordon. And now Raumati. Kazura tries to smack that one away. Chance for Gordon to find Buckingham in the area. In at the second time of asking from Morgan. It's over Gordon's head. And the foot comes in there from Pietranero, the replacement. And now that final change will be made. It's Morgan. 11 goals in season 2019. And off he comes with just under 10 minutes to play to be replaced by Tommy Coyle. 4 goals in 15 games for Tommy Coyle this season. He actually scored in April against Bayswater in the 1-1 draw. He won't get a chance to get involved just yet, as the last touch was off Buckingham and out for a goal kick. So just under 9 minutes to play at Dorrien Gardens. Perth Soccer Club 3, Bayswater 0. Goals from Rosé, Lee Morgan and Jaden Gorman. Clinical Perth Soccer Club performance. And it looks like they'll be playing in the preliminary final midweek against the loser of the Glory and Coburn, as Coyle gets his first touch and wins a corner off Melia. Crowd building nicely here at Dorrien Gardens for that 3 p.m. kickoff between Perth and Inglewood. Live also on the Football West Facebook page and YouTube channels. Short corner taken as Crane tries to find Coyle. And now through it goes. Clearance from Sinagra wasn't great, but Petrie is. In fact, it was Raumati who was across an alert as Rindell looked to get his head up and pick a pass, with Sinagra quite some way out of his goal. Crane's ball forward. We'll look for Gordon, who keeps it in play. It looks like Petrie's down behind play here, getting stretched out by Keth. It looks like a little bit of cramp. And in the end, Rindell puts it out so that Petrie can receive some attention. PL Keth still doing his best to try and stretch out the cramp. I hope it's nothing more serious. The prelim and grand final to look forward to. Limping off a little gingerly there is Petrie. I'm not sure we'll see him come back on. Looks to be taking the tape off around his shin pads, so Perth will have to defend final few minutes with 10 men as Betts gets in behind and his lob lands on top of the net, so half chance there for Bayswater to pull a goal back with just over 5 minutes on the clock. It's been a frustrating afternoon for Charlie Betts. He had that effort which came ever so close to crossing the line when he wriggled away from his marker inside the area. It hit post and bar remarkably, that shot. The linesman on that far side was in the best position and said it didn't cross the line. Kath. Last touch was off. Bayswater's number 17. Petrie still gets a bit of attention on this touchline. He's been a real mainstay of Perth's midfield in season 2019. 21 appearances. A couple of yellow cards, 3 goals as well. And with the 3-goal lead, they're certainly not going to take a chance on him, I don't think, with around 4 minutes to play. It looks as though Buckingham has dropped in alongside Crane in midfield. Rindell. Ball through for Betts, and I think Heaney got a touch on that to help it on its way back to Sinagra. News is that Jason Petrie is back and sat on the bench now. Doesn't look in too much discomfort, thankfully, but Perth will have to defend the final few minutes with 10 men, having used all 3 subs in. Our last touch there off Heaney's clearance was off Betts. Garris. Headed away by Keezer. Crane. Lovely pass there. The substitute Gordon, who's a chance to break into the area, or he may have just overran that one slightly. Kazura. Last 2 or 3 minutes of this one. Can Bayswater get themselves a late consolation? I certainly don't think they've been 3 goals worse than Perth this afternoon. More so that when Gorman and Morgan have had their opportunities to punish Bayswater's defence, they've really taken them as and when they've come, and Bayswater just without that little bit of luck as well, most notably with Betts, as Nicholson's ball in's a low one. It's not going to trouble Bayswater's back 4 as Norman can clear away. It was Buckingham's pass looking for Nicholson again. Didn't find his teammate. For me, Gorman, a standout player on the pitch this afternoon. With a little mention for the work rate of Lennon Crane as well, who's held on that midfield brilliantly, box to box, a lot of hard work. But Gorman was the real X factor, and he laid on one and scored one himself down that left-hand side. That's been the difference, essentially. Closing stages here, just about to tick into second half stoppage time as Betts comes forward looking for a consolation but doesn't quite catch his shot. Sinagra can dive on that one and take a couple more seconds off the clock. In fact, he throws out to Crane. Perth will try and add one more possibly. Gordon's offside on that far side though. Perth will extend their excellent recent record over Bayswater at this venue. A 6th win and a draw in 7 previous meetings now, including this one. As 3 minutes goes up from the 4th official, and Keth's ball comfortably claimed by Sinagra. Crane. Still in play on that far side, and now Gordon. Lovely slip through for Garris, but he's offside. Touch off Nicholson there. Keth will launch a long throw in the direction of Betts, who does control it well, but working hard all the way up until that final whistle is Coyle. Rindell, last chance for Bayswater to get a consolation. It's going to break to Rindell again, who volleys, and Rindell can't quite hit the target. 2 goals this season for Logan Rindell. He's played well in that centre of midfield for Baysy today, but disappointing afternoon for the under-20s. As I said before, I'm not sure they were 3 goals worse than Perth today, but there's no doubt the host team this afternoon have been the more clinical. And as it stands there, marching into the preliminary final of this midweek against the loser of the Glory and Coburn game. We'll try and bring you that score during our second live commentary this afternoon to follow. Final seconds ticking down here, and that's the whistle. So after 90 minutes in this minor semi-final here at Dorrien Gardens, it's Perth who advanced to the preliminary final this midweek, and Bayswater, whose season ends. It was a 3-0 win for Perth Soccer Club this afternoon. Javad Mazai's goal in the first half, a free kick from the left-hand side, drifted all the way in and crept in at that far post. That gave Perth the lead at the break, and then the X-factor in Jaden Gorman signing on from Glory's team, played in the NPL at senior level this season for the A-League youngsters, and he provided that magic down the left-hand side, firstly with a tremendous assist across the 6-yard box for Lee Morgan to score an 11th goal of the season, before cutting Bayswater's right-hand side of shreds again and finishing strongly past Yankovic. Bayswater were unable to mount a response. They were pretty unlucky though throughout. Charlie Betts, as Chance hit the crossbar and post and went across the goal line, it could have gone anywhere. And that was at a time when Perth were leading by a goal to nil. And on they continued to win 3-0 and advance to the preliminary final here in the NPL WA Under-20s minor semi-final. Senior team game to come a little bit later on. 3 p.m. kickoff there. Perth Soccer Club, league winners in the NPL WA, playing second place Inglewood United in the major semi-final there. Winner goes through straight to next week's grand final. And we'll join you 5 minutes before kickoff there for the build-up to that one. But for now, full time in the Under-20s minor semi-final here at Dorrien Gardens. Perth Soccer Club 3, Bayswater 0. And we'll see in around half an hour or so for Perth versus Inglewood.